koutou katoa. Tuarua ki ngā mate, haere, haere, haere atu rā. E mihi ana te mana whenua o Ngāti Toa me Taranaki whānui. Kia tātou e tau nei, kia ora. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Kia ora and welcome to our actually February edition, I know it's March, of Creative Mornings. And that is why we have today our layers theme, which is actually our February theme. But that's okay. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Christine. I am one of the co-hosts for Creative Mornings Wellington. And today with me I have Claire, my other co-host, who's going to share with you the theme of layers.
Kia ora koutou. It's quite a long one and I lost my voice this week, so bear with me, but it is a lovely one, so you'll enjoy listening. Simplicity provides clarity, but layers give our work a richer complexity and depth. Musicians fuse melodies, harmonies and rhythms to create more dynamic compositions, while other artists use a juxtaposition of colours, textures, images or materials for greater visual impact. The creative magic happens when these choices conjure different interpretations and emotions, because people have layers too. Just like a collage is created by overlapping layers of found materials, we pile up experiences that form our beliefs and reactions. The cliche, beauty is only skin deep, means that a pleasant appearance does not guarantee a virtuous character. We are a mess of competing emotions and personality traits. So how we act on the outside world doesn't always reflect how we feel inside. We make polite chit-chat when it takes vulnerable conversations to form meaningful connections. However, surface level pleasantries and superficial decoration do have their place. But it is the layers that give life meaning. We must peel them away to discover our deeper truths. Thank you.
Wonderful. And in case you haven't noticed, our global sponsor for Creative Mornings is Adobe. So Creative Mornings is a global series of events that happens in different chapters all around the world, and without Adobe supporting us, we wouldn't be able to make them happen every month. So a big round of applause for Adobe. And Sarah, if I could kindly get you to take a very specific photo of this slide. Thank you. Hey! And a reminder, because of us being, I'll just walk back out of that light, sorry. Because we skipped a little bit of time, you might feel like you're not getting enough Creative Mornings in your life. Make sure you check out field trips online. So these are global events that you can jump on, meet new people and learn something new. And a big shout out to our sponsors as usual. 6 Barrel Soda for our speaker gift. Libertine Blends, I think we've got a new flavour. Coffee Supreme for the caffeination, All Good Oat Milk. We've got Pornicky Bakery for the majority of our bread. And then we have Dough Bakery for our wonderful gluten-free loaf, which I think is probably the best gluten-free loaf that you can find in Wellington. 40 Thieves for the peanut butter, Bag Baker for breakfast cookies, and Colourcraft for the labels that you're wearing. I forgot to put a label on today. 257, thank you so much for this space. As per usual, they kind of name drop you all the time. We've got our guest photographer today, Sarah. You may recognise her from many months ago when she used to constantly photograph for us, so it's lovely to have her back on the odd occasion. And we've got Andy here today from Hype Entertainment, capturing all of this on video. Ethan could not make it today. And then a huge shout out to Gordon Harris for a lot of the supplies you see on the table. Pencils and paper and glue sticks and scissors and scalpels, all sorts of fun. They kindly gifted that to us for today. So if you want art supplies, make sure you head to Gordon Harris.
They've got a 20% off sale till next week.
They've got a 20% off sale. Woo!
And they're 50 years old.
And they're 50 years old. Yes. I used to spend way too much money there when I was at uni. I might as well just have my account details. Shout out to our amazing volunteer team. So they make your toast, they make your coffee. They work throughout the month to make these events happen. So without them, you wouldn't be here today. And that is the end of my slideshow. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the stage Peter Campbell. So I've known Peter for a number of years now. We used to work together as educators. And Peter is a fantastic collage artist with international collaborations. And he's going to share some of that as well as his practice with you today. So big round of applause for Peter.
Okay, so I'm going to keep this hopefully as short as possible because I know that most of you are probably itching to get scissors busy and that sort of stuff. So I thought the way I'd work with this, I'll just talk a little bit about my process, give you a bit of background to myself, and I've set a task, so or sort of like a structure to the collage that we're going to do. So quite like this quote. I think it's kind of maybe captures something about collage because you can approach it from so many different ways. That's me. And a bit of background, I guess some people would say I escaped, but I grew up in the Hutt Valley, close to sort of Pinehaven, so close to where Christine is based sometimes with Studio C. Moved into Wellington in my late teens. Been here kind of on and off ever since, so, and now live in sunny Derrimore, so this is me when I was very young, so I don't know whether it's kind of like maybe kind of some sort of sense of where I was heading. The joke is I was either going to be a tradesperson or working in the creative industries, but you know I look very serious. I think the other thing, I don't know whether I'm breaking something, probably I am, but it's this is probably about the time that and I would guess many of you first experienced collage. Do any of you know who this is? I love the studio space. I love the chaos. How many of you know this?
Yeah.
There we go. So the photo is Eric Carl, and I think for me probably this is the first time I really saw collage. I quite like this. This is the photo of him working. Can you recognise what this here is?
Razor blade?
Yeah, you're like really old school. Like, so he just would use like a standard razor blade when he was cutting. The tissue that he used for it, so he'd just stretch out sheets, paint them, and then build his collage with that, which I think maybe is partly sort of contributes to almost that looseness that you actually get with Eric Carl's work. Sadly dead now, but and this book has had its 50-year anniversary. It was published in 1974, so. Okay, but I thought I'll start off with just a little bit of a talk through maybe some of the different types of work I do and link back to layers. So this is a big part of my practice. This is like a family heirloom, which I work from home now, but I've got a printing space set up in my garage. I came into working as an illustrator through studying printmaking, sort of fell into working as an illustrator, but I use this sort of as part of the process. So a lot of the stuff, I've moved much more to working digitally now, but this was a piece of work for the school journals, which I guess if you grew up here, most of you will have held a school journal in your hand at some point. But yeah, so collage is kind of like been working in my stuff, but often what I will do is actually work with printmaking as well. This is a personal piece of work that was part of an exhibition that I contributed in. It was called Rock, Paper, Scissors, and it was all around kind of like rock and roll, so PJ Harvey. Bit of standard collage. Are any of you familiar with Exposure Lifestyles magazine? It's a person, Pat Shepherd, that some of you maybe have encountered, who also runs this here, which is Generosity Journal. This is a piece of digital collage work. Probably one of the most fraught pieces of illustration I've ever had to do, because it had to be cited by Jacinta Ardern before it was released. So, kind of the pressure of doing a portrait of someone. Do any of you recognise where this is actually coming? Yeah. So, Rita Angus. Rita. So it was basically, she wrote a piece for the Generosity Journal, and then I was asked to do actually a portrait of her as part of that. Layers, obviously. You Photoshop, obviously. God knows how many layers I had in this. It was crazy. Like if I overdid any of those groups, it would have just been a bit mental. Bit of inspiration. So for me, kind of, I think collage. It's something I've almost been interested in, maybe not even realising why. Have any of you seen this person's work? So Max Ernst, surrealist, painter, illustrator, but also collage artist. And I think for this one, the surprise was that this was actually a collage. Can any of you work out what maybe has changed or added with this one? I'm just guessing. So.
Wings?
Yeah. So I think that is the one piece. But with this series, on Semaine de Bonte means a week of kindness. It was a series of blocks he produced using old engravings and actually combining them. First encountered it in this book here. So I was quite young. This book was purchased by my parents. And so that sort of like was my introduction to a lot of, I guess, more fine art collage, which, and having, since seeing that, I've travelled quite a lot, actually seen a lot of this work, but did any of you go to this exhibition at Tupapa? Yeah, so these are, this is actually one of the books, and they had quite a lot of the collage from the series, which for me was quite exciting to actually see this collected in real life. Another person that really inspires me, and that's through his economy of the way he actually works, is this artist here, John Stesacker, who's a collage artist. Are any of you familiar with this work? Maybe, maybe not. So again, 2017, he had an exhibition which filled half of the City Gallery. So one of the amazing things about this was he actually came out to help set the exhibition, and as part of that actually spoke. So I was kind of lucky enough to go along and listen to him talk about this process. He works with old film stills, and he's been collecting those for many, many years. Right, so process for me, this is kind of my toolkit. Do any of you know what this thing is? This,
Etching?
it can be used for etching. It's most commonly used for bookbinding. So it's an awl. Those are great for actually just wiggling little bits out. I have a number of knives. I usually use quite sort of basic tools. Printing roll is great for actually pressing stuff down as you're working. Tweezers, hugely important. You have got none today, so you can use your fingers, but we'll see how you go. And also like bone folder, I find is often quite a good little thing for actually smoothing and stuff down. But the other thing with collage, and I think you're working with hand-produced collage, you have to go to these places a lot. So I live, so here we are, Berhampore, so you can see I almost live in the golden circle of some of the op shops, but it is actually, it does become almost an obsession. Whenever I go on family holidays, much of it is spent travelling to different op shops, and I've got like just, like I can hardly open my garage door anymore because it's full of some probably worthless crap, but you know, you'll pick up the book and kind of go, I'm sure I'm going to use that picture sometime, but yeah, I'm often told off for it. Luckily for me, my wife loves op shopping as well, but she collects different stuff, so it's quite safe. You know, for her, it's crown linen clothes and Tupperware. So yeah, but I've collected certain things a lot over it. So there's some of this on the tables in front of you. Knitting patterns. I've probably been collecting those for over 30 years, so I've got like a mountainous pile of them. This is a piece of work I made a combine from some knitting patterns. And, that was a bit mathematical, that one. There was lots of kind of... I've also got a huge pile of... you probably don't see these much anymore, do you? Like, I love this one here. Dreams die first. It's like, but with this one, strangely, one of the collectors that I actually do work with had, like, it was a collage practice called Strike a Light. And so this was actually a piece of collage that was produced for that, and it ended up being published by them. They published a book as part of that. These are really for most collage artists. This is kind of like the holy grail of stuff. This is just a fraction of what I actually, if I ever see, I've got the sense now where I can walk in and look at a bookshelf and recognise these by the actual height of the spine. Or that sort of stuff. Yeah, but crazy stuff with it. Again, with collage, I think often one of the nice things to play with can be scale. So that's sort of a way. This is just actually a combine of three base images. I've also collected these for quite a long time. Some donated, and this is another process with collage. I have a big tub that I actually keep, which is just offcuts. And just basically sometimes I'll just use those to actually build with, because sometimes you get quite interesting shapes, textures, that sort of stuff. Do any of you recognise this stuff? Yeah, so I've got a mountainous pile of electroset as well. It's starting to get quite fragile now, but this was a piece of work that was made for, I guess, graphic designers here. Probably have a little giggle about here. So that's made in Future Evolved. The prompt for that was for future, so as part of collage, a lot of it sort of, with any creative practice can be sort of fairly kind of, I suppose, isolated, but social media is the thing which has really, I guess, sort of exploded collage, and now it's sort of quite huge. This is the first ever social media post of, so this was posted on Facebook, I think about 2008, so maybe 1 year into Facebook kind of being here. Frighteningly enough, this was quite an old piece of work that I made for a friend as a birthday invitation. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, so it's taken from like a really old New Zealand kind of like magazine from the 1960s, and I've used photographic colouring inks, like really old colouring inks, which are coloured to it. That kind of merged into that. So with Facebook, I started doing a thing which was called Collage of the Week, and I'd post one collage of the week to my friends. That kind of grew into, I moved to Tumblr. And this was kind of a lot more focused on actually posting also art historical collage. It was through this that I built a lot of connections with people kind of in the international collage community who were kind of like liking the fact that someone was kind of like, I guess, I got a bit bored with this, to be honest, so it's still sitting there, but I post to it very, very infrequently. From that, I also then, in the early days of Society 6, opened up a shop here. They've recently gone to actually charging artists to work on it, so it's now, I think this is about to die a natural death. But again, with this was actually quite a good way of actually building connections with a number of other people actually working with collage. And then, probably a latecomer to Instagram, but one of the things that I have been doing fairly regularly with this, and it's through this group here, which is called the Edinburgh Collage Collective. They have a number of kind of basically activities that they run, and this is one of them. So this is a bit like, I think it's popping out of my head, but the type, is it 30 days of time? Yeah. Someone will know, yeah. February, so you give it a prompt list, and then you actually are asked to create a different collage each day to that prompt. So people approach it all sorts of different ways. They release these usually in late January, the prompt list, each year, and then basically off you go. That was some of the ones from this year. I was lucky enough to get asked to actually produce one of the prompt collages this year, which was the prompt was Polaroid for this one, so these were kind of the ones that people kind of liked the most. So I think it was cartoon, Polaroid, neighbourhood, and wood for the people's for those ones. But as I was saying, also collage, often there's a lot of collaboration that actually happens, and there's, so I've actually worked with a bit of stuff, and this is what the activity that we're going to run today is kind of framed around essentially sort of almost a collaborative activity. Again, I quite like this as well. So it's kind of like the two voices have to be somewhere. This is a collaboration I did with a German illustrator and collage artist, Benny Rollman, who's based in Berlin. He reached out to me because he wanted to basically trade the collage, and then as a result of that we actually we did a few collaborations. So with collaboration, the way it actually works is one person actually does what's called the starter, which is the base. So you can probably guess who did the base on this one, because there's some very recognisable New Zealand landmarks here, the Wairakei boulders. So with this one, what was sent to Benny was the boulders with the hills in behind it, and this beautiful baby, but he didn't have three eyes on it went to him. And then he's added kind of like some of the other elements. I will show you something in a second as well, but it's which explains some of the process with this. This was another piece of work where he did the starter. You can see much more Germanic landscape in this one, and I added in the eagle with the dog and the huntsman, and that. This here came from a very odd book of New Zealand pictures from the 1970s. That's kind of like, what the hell is going on there? Maybe a very early fairy, I don't know. Yeah, so what we're going to be doing, the task that I've kind of set for you, so hopefully leaving as much time as possible, is you're going to be doing collaborative collage. So what you'll be doing is you'll be working with a starter. You'll see on the small table up here, there's a whole series of A4 envelopes. What I've actually done is I've just put a load of random stuff into them. There's materials on the table, so there's sugar paper, which is coloured, a few different magazines and things like that. Just one little piece of housekeeping is the card that's on the table. So Christine's going to very kindly hand one. If you're using the scalpels, just use those to cut onto. They can be quite good for doing gluing as well if you're just wanting to keep things clean. There's white paper, slightly heavier weight white paper as well, so that's to actually build onto. So basically, once you've got your pack, the idea is to actually build a base, and then I'd like you, because you'll be eyeballing what other people are doing at the table you're sitting at. So just basically go and find someone at a different table where you have no idea what the heck they've done. Swap collages. You may want to retain some of the stuff in the packs, or have a look through for a few magazines and things floating around as well. And when you get that, then basically it's your task is to finish it. Nice idea would maybe to be go and catch up with the person you've actually swapped with, and then you can compare collages and decide who wants to take which one home. As you've got an envelope, you can also put the finished collage into the envelope to take with you. So, and last bit, which is just a little bit of health and safety. We're using knives.
Yeah.
Please be careful. So yeah, just keep your hands away from the path of the knives. I don't know how many first aid trained people there are here, but
if you don't feel comfortable using a scalpel, just use the scissors.
I know.
Yeah.
Now I thought I'd just show you one, because this is something where just a little tip for your starters. So this is just something I've put together. So this is made of three things, but you'll see if you want people to be able to actually integrate, a really good way to do it can be not to glue right to the top. So it allows you to kind of like slot or slip things in behind what you're doing. So that's just, or if you do just want people to build on top of what you're doing, basically just plonk everything down Use it a bit like a jigsaw puzzle. What I'll do is I'll get stuff, shuffle it around, cut things out, just have a little bit of a look at how it's looking. Colour is often a big thing that you'll be thinking about as well. But just have a play, have some fun.
Great.
Packs are over there, so just go and help yourselves. I'll just kind of like wander around while you're snipping. Any questions? Yes.
How did you come up with the idea of a Rita Angus version?
I thought it's because at that time, like Jacinda Ardern, she was quite an iconic figure in New Zealand politics. So it was really choosing something that was well known, but also maybe had that sense of kind of like, I guess that's a, yeah. I know it's probably quite controversial now because some people, she's like, some people it's like that love-hate thing for many people now, isn't it? So yeah.